Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, welcome back to my second channel. We've got an engineer coming round any minute now, so I wanted to film this video before he got here. Didn't want him overhearing about my smutty books I read recently, you know. I have got 5 recent steamy reads that I want to recommend to you that were really, really good. We got some Forbidden, we got a Hades and Persephone read, we got a little bit of everything. Where do we begin? Let me get my notes. I'm making notes when I finish a book now, so I can be more prepared. Okay, let's start with a short read that's really sweet, and if you like forced proximity, like Strangers in the Dark kind of situation, then this is it to a T, and it's a really short read and really enjoyable. It's called Hearts in Darkness by Laura Kay. So basically, we follow 2 people throughout the whole book, that's all there is, called McKenna and Caden, and they get trapped in an elevator together. They both get in, they barely even glance at each other when they get in the elevator. Starts to move, all the lights shut off, it breaks, and they are stuck there together for hours in pitch black. And it's just a really sweet and steamy read. I absolutely loved both of the characters, how they connect, how they talk. He starts to have like panic attacks because he's like claustrophobic in the dark, and you find out why, and she's like trying to, you know, calm him, and like they're just talking and bantering and having a really great time, and it gets a little steamy, and it's just such a sweet story. So I would recommend this for a short read. There is a book 2, but I find that once I'm all about the build-up. Once a relationship is established, I suddenly realise, unless there's a lot of other things going on in the story that I enjoy, I don't care about that romance anymore. Once it's built up, I am done, I'm happy, I will leave those characters to their lives. Next one is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I gave this 4 stars. It's quite a recent release, I think, and it's a modern day Hades and Persephone retelling. Now, I read Touch of Darkness by, is it Scarlett Sinclair? That's who read. I did enjoy the first one. The second one, I was getting a little bit annoyed with Persephone, not gonna lie. And I've had the third one on my Kindle since it came out, but I haven't even read it. I didn't know whether I liked modern day retellings of Hades and Persephone, but this one is really, really good. So it's modern day, and Persephone's mother basically arranges a marriage between her and Zeus. And she is mortified because Zeus's last 3 wives have all died. Just saying. So she's like, oh my god, mother, you know that he probably is killing off his wives. Why are you doing this? Zeus is the obviously most powerful of all of them. There isn't really any magic. I can't wait for the next books to find out if there is underlines of magic from before, because it's just those of the bloodline of Hades, and they're all called like Hades, or they're all called Zeus, they're all called, Is there any magic? Because it's kind of hinted at. Anyway, it's modern day. Forget the magic. So basically, Persephone runs away. She is running through the streets and she comes to the river Styx. Not many people can pass the river Styx because it creates like a lot of pain and pressure to cross the bridge over into the underworld, or what they call the lower city. And over the other bank, Hades is stood there, dark, tall and brooding. I love me a Hades. I want me a Hades in my life, not gonna lie. So she runs, she's being chased by Zeus's henchmen, because she runs out on her engagement, and they can't cross because there is a treaty in place that if anyone crosses from that side, then you can pretty much declare war. There is a treaty in place that Hades, who is meant to be a myth in this world, no one believes he actually exists. So when she gets there and she finds out that he is Hades, like, you're a myth, you're not meant to exist anymore. And he was like, well, here I am, baby. And they have a treaty so no one can cross the bridge, and Hades can't go out to the upper city either, or Zeus and the others of the 13 can attack. Anyway, he hates Zeus. Hades absolutely despises Zeus. So when they all figure out what is going on, he takes her back to his house, mansion, castle place, and they're like, right, we need a plan. Let's get back at Zeus. You're his fiance. Let's make him really jealous. Let us be together. So it's like a fake relationship. It's the first fake relationship I've ever read, and I really enjoyed it because obviously then they start getting feelings for each other. It is steamy because in part of their contract, they decide that they have to have public sex. So basically the rumours will spread back to Zeus on his side, and he will be absolutely enraged by it. And Hades will be like, ha, she's mine now. And she's totally on board, he's totally on board, and it is just a wonderful, you know, when you've got that big, dark, brooding male like Hades, but inside he is such a cinnamon roll, sweet and squishy. I love Hades in this book. Because he is dark and brooding. I wish he was a bit more dark and brooding, I'm not gonna lie. I do love me a real bad boy. But yeah, it was fine. Nice and steamy. Quite a short read actually. I listened to it on Audible. I think it was only 10 hours, the audiobook. So yeah, would recommend. It was really good. Whew, we've got a forbidden romance next, and I wasn't sure whether I would like this, because I'm always like, when it comes to dark romance or forbidden romance, I just take the leap and we'll see what happens. I actually really enjoyed this book. This one is called Lessons in Synth. It's a very recent release. I heard someone talk about it because they received an ARC. So you got Magnus and Tinsley, and Magnus is the head teacher of a Catholic boarding school. So this is a student teacher, age gap, and also priest. Yeah, he is 18 in it though, to be fair. Tinsley has been sent there for bad behaviour because she's basically being sexually promiscuous with other boys. She comes from a really like upper class, well-to-do, very powerful family. So her mother sends her to this Catholic boarding school because it's known for how strict it is and how it can reform bad girls and bad behaviour and things like that. So she does absolutely anything she can to get expelled from this school and really push the head teacher's buttons. She finds out one way that she could probably get expelled is by coming on to him, because anyone who has ever tried to do that, because he's very hot, as you can tell by the cover, have got immediately expelled. But he catches on to her game. He's like, that ain't gonna work with me. Anyway, yeah, it gets sexual. It is tense, it is extremely forbidden, there is a big age gap, he's a priest, and he has a very, very dark past, very dark history, so it is definitely a dark, forbidden romance, and I would be careful going into it for that. Obviously, all the things I've just told you, it's not going to be for everyone, but I gave this 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing I can't get on board with even if it's, so long as everyone's legal, but still with an age gap, is the believability that this older guy is gonna want such a young girl. Like, you keep saying how mature she is, but I always have that problem with an age gap, that it's never normally believable for me. Anyway, I threw myself into the forbidden fantasy and it was quite good. Next one is a dark romance. I need to warn you about this. It is called Bullseye by Monica James. I have to be really careful with dark romances, as a lot of us do, because I do have triggers. So if you go for a dark romance, always check the triggers. So you follow Bull and Lily. Lily works in a strip club and Bull has just been released from prison for murder, and he is out for revenge. Now, I don't want to spoil what happens, but he is bloodthirsty. There is a lot of violence in this book. A lot of sex and violence, not together though, but there's a lot of violence. He is out for blood when he's released from prison to avenge someone for something that happened, and it is heartbreaking when you find out what actually happened and who he's trying to avenge. So if you want the bad boy, but not the bad boy who's a cinnamon roll inside, he's not. He's an actual bad boy. He is violent and brooding and dark as hell, and he's really messed up for spending most of his adult life in prison. He doesn't like to be touched or anything like that. Anyway, when he gets released, he gets a job at the strip joint that Lily works at. So there's definitely a connection with Lily, and Lily has a son, and it's just a really good story. I really liked where it went. There is 2 books. The first one is Bullseye and the second one is Blowback, and I just got so invested in the storylines. I wanted to find out what happened with this revenge story. Romance aside, smut and steaminess aside, I needed to find out how this story concluded, because it is wild, it doesn't hold back. So yeah, if you like a dark romance, you gotta be prepared for that. There's a lot of violence, it's very steamy, and it's a really bad boy, as in not Hades from Neon Gods bad boy, actual bad boy just released from prison and going to murder fucking everyone now. But yeah, very steamy, very violent. If you're into that, definitely recommend. The next one is called Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe. I wouldn't actually put this under a romance category. What I would put this under is a psychological thriller / dark romance, because it's not your conventional romance, and you kind of don't come away, you know, screaming yes for the couple at the end. You don't, because it's so twisted, and I fucking loved this book. Both of them. It's a duet. Both books, Born Darkly and Born Madly, I think the second one is. So you follow London and Grayson. London is a forensic psychologist. She works with a lot of patients who are in prison at the moment or are on death row, etc, etc. And Grayson is a serial killer. He is a psychopath, and she falls for him. So he is her patient, and he comes in his chains, he is shackled to the floor, and they have their therapy sessions, and she falls for him. Now that just caught me anyway, that synopsis, because no one on YouTube would talk about what happened next, and I get why, and I'm not going to either, because it gets dark and twisted, and these books go places. It is these are dark books, and I loved them. So yeah, that's how it starts, but then it just gets wild. It really does. They are dark, twisted, lots of violence. There is sex in them. They are quite steamy, but it's not the main plot of them, but I wanted to include it because it's something I read recently that I think was very unique, but I don't think should fall under a romance, you know, the romance with the sweet happily ever after, and they're both really sweet deep down inside and things like that. Absolutely not. So there you go, this was short and sweet. I just wanted to catch you up on a few steamy, dark romances that I read recently. Could you, down below, because I've read some dark romances and some I've enjoyed, some have triggered the hell out of me, they are not for me. So I gotta be really careful when I'm dipping my toes into dark romance, like the whole non-consent stuff in some dark romance, I can't, especially when, the thing is, I can read a book that has sexual assault in it. And I've read books that has been very detailed, but I've known ahead of time because I've looked at triggers in reviews and stuff. But it doesn't happen at the hero's hands. That's a big thing, you know, non-consent, dubious consent, all that happens at the hero's hands, and I'm just immediately, the book goes down. Now, I've read books of romances and dark romances where things happen to the heroine, for example, but not in the hands of the guy we're meant to root for, if you know what I mean. So non-consent and double consent is a hard line for me. I don't like it at all. Not judging anyone who does, it's just not my cup of tea. It's very triggering. So if you have any dark romances where everything is very consensual, I mean, make it dark. Give me a bad boy, yes, and I mean a real bad boy. Absolutely, make it dark and twisted, plenty of violence, I don't mind. It can have really dark undertones. The only hard limit I really have is when we're trying to root for a hero, but the hero is doing terrible things to the heroine. I mean, make the steamy scenes rough and brutal, but so long as they're consensually rough and brutal, I don't mind. Anyway, moving on before I get demonetized. So yes, I'm gonna stop rambling now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know some of your favorite steamy reads and some of your favorite dark romance. Loving, leaving, shouting out, like, subscribe, comment, all the fun stuff. Do all of it, do none of it. Doesn't matter, so long as you're happy. And I'll see you in the next one.